Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about finding your target market. If you're building a business, then you're going to have to sell something to people. And if you're selling things, you need to figure out who you're selling it to. So that's what we're talking about today. Um, Usually, there's a lot of different groups that could apply to your situation. There could be no idea or clear way of figuring out which target group is best at a cursory glance. So that's where you're going to need to start digging in and trying to figure things out. Some people might think there's a huge audience for my product and I can go and take it and sell it to everyone. I really disagree with that. Um, there could be a huge market, and that's perfectly great. And in the long run, yes, you 100% want to try and reach out to as many people. If you're adding amazing value, you want to go out there and add that value. However, when you're starting out, you need to figure out who needs it the most or who can you offer a solution to the most or in the best way possible. And that's why you need to really hone in on a small, achievable group. And then I say achievable because one of the things is that if it's too large of a group, you'll have different needs that might appear, and it's going to take far too much of your time, far too much budget to even just study in depth all of these. And even if you do manage to study it, you might come across with different needs for each group, and so then you won't be able to hone in on a really great solution to start with. So for me, one of the ways that I try to figure out is to list all of the groups that I believe are affected by this issue. Um, these groups could be geographically spread out, so it could be these countries and not these countries. You could be looking at income levels. You could be looking at social groups. There could be ages. There's lots of different ways you want to break it up and try to figure out, okay, let's say I take Sweden, where I'm living right now, then I look at different age groups within Sweden and how are they affected by this issue to figure out, you know, who are the most affected. Are any of these groups significantly left behind that do not have access to existing solutions? Are there existing solutions for these different groups? And once I've listed those, I try to order it and okay, this is the most affected group, this is the next most affected, and so on and so forth. And that kind of gives me a hierarchy, I guess, of the needs of different groups. And so I can start trying to figure out who do I want to work with to start with. And this will also really help you when you start looking at what are the existing solutions to this problem. And you can see, okay, are the most affected groups the ones that are getting the most help, or are they actually the most affected because they're not getting any help? And you can try and compare and see how they connect together. Um, Next, when I'm looking at those groups of people, I want to study how are they understanding the problem and how are they dealing with the problem. So if it's a big problem that's well recognized, people will often try to find some way of solving it for themselves. It might not be a good way. In fact, it could be a terrible way. However, they see a problem and they're trying to find a solution, and that's good. So we want to see what is it that's they are doing, what is working well, what's not working well, and that will give you an idea for how your solution could fit in to that space. So you want to try and map that out. Um, and then if you have a solution that really works quite well, then you might struggle to move them over to your solution. That means that that group might not be the ideal group for you. But then again, if they've found solutions that are working and it shows that they're really engaged with trying to find solutions, then if you can provide something that's even better than what they've currently got, then that's brilliant because they're going to be wanting to keep improving. And if it's another group that are severely feeling this problem but are doing nothing, it could be just that they don't notice that it's even a problem. And then you'd have to go through the whole thing of educating them first to then provide your solution. And while that's totally doable, I think for a lot of early stage startups, early founders, it's a big uphill battle that maybe you don't want to take on at this stage. Try and find something that's a bit easier to start with, and then you can use your momentum to start educating other groups a bit further, and that can kind of expand the audience that you end up working with. Uh, Lastly, I always think it's good to have a look at your competitors. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the problems video. Now, trying to understand what solutions have your competitors proposed? What are your competitors' ideas for how to solve things? Because that tells you how they see their problem, and they also will focus on specific groups. If they're a little bit more advanced, then they might have a broader group that they're focusing on, but almost certainly they will be marketing their solution to specific groups in a way that appeals to them. So it helps you to understand how are they trying to communicate their solution. And the reason I like to examine competitors, it's not because we want to overly analyze everything that your competitors do. I think some people fall into that trap, and then you end up wasting a lot of your own time. I don't want to see you do that. But it's about understanding the landscape that you want to be engaged with. Um, and it gives you an idea when you start mapping things out what the gaps are. So who your competitor targets tells you who they're not targeting. Once you get a few of them, you can really see what users might be needing you more. How do they try to solve things? Tells you how they're not solving things. Different types of solutions might work differently. For different people, they might be more appealing, so you can explore that. And if they are trying to solve things, why does the issue still exist? I think this is really relevant, both in trying to figure out how to solve what you're doing, but also for you as an individual. It's that, yeah, other solutions exist, but just because they exist doesn't mean that you don't have a place, because you might offer something far more valuable that hasn't been done. And I think through this approach, you can see where you fit in, how you can differentiate yourself from competitors, and you can figure out who you want to approach first to add value to. One thing kind of from this that came out when I was coaching a client recently was about that competitor mapping. And they asked me, okay, it's great that we need to know the competitors. I understand that. How do we actually go out and map your competition? So I'm building them a template for that. And I think I was not going to do a video on that, but I will do another video on just mapping out your competition. Catch you all next time. Take care. Bye.